Hi guys, and welcome back to Dudley Central. It's been a long time since I did a video on the layout, just for this reason and that, but I've done quite a lot of progress that I want to share with you guys, and it'd be good to capture it on video and get your feedback. As always, please feel free to leave a comment. Any advice that you have is always welcome. I've had some great ideas over the last few years via YouTube, and as I say, I hope you like what you see. So the station area has received an awful lot of attention since the last video. Namely, it's been ballasted. It's also had the surfacing done for the platforms, and I've also done areas to the side of the bay platform representing a disused line. So just coming round to the disused line area, you might recognise that the retaining wall at the back is the same one from the old Dudley Central layout. I've really been quite keen to keep that in place. Unfortunately though, due to the recent heat wave that we've had in the UK, it has warped quite severely. The camera doesn't actually show it as bad as it is, but I will have to do some work to that. But just in front you can actually see now where I've gone for the disused line. I've used some old wooden sleepers, a different colour of ballast. I've also put some scrap rail in there as well, just to suggest that at one point this was somewhere perhaps where units or locomotives were stabled between turns. I'm quite happy with the overall effect on that. This platform as well, I think I did mention in the previous video, it has the DCC Concepts shuttle system, and at the moment I've got the Class 150 operating on that at the moment. It's just coming round now. What else have I done? So yes, the platforms itself, I get asked quite a lot about how I've made these. Essentially what I've done is I've used the Pico concrete edging that you can get. I can't remember the product code for that. And then what I've done on the middle is I've just used 2mm thick card. You can buy sheets of that from the likes of eBay or Amazon. And then what I've done is I've painted that the same way I do my roads, and I use the AK Terrain asphalt and also the city dirt and asphalt road dirt pigments to tone them down. I find it gives a nice little texture to it, and you can get some really interesting tones onto the platforms. I've also started adding some platform lights as well. These come from Model Signs. I quite like them. I haven't got them switched on at the moment, but they look quite nice. I've gone for a warm, that sort of warm orange glow, which was typical of the 1990s, just to try and set the scene. I've also added some platform shelters. These are the Bachmann scenecraft units. I think they look quite good and they complement the station building behind. But I do want to detail these up and potentially add some lights to those as well. The station building end's not really had any changes to it, apart from under the canopy I have added a LED strip, and that illuminates it quite well. It's not plugged in at the moment and you can see the wire is actually trailing there, but I'll put an image of that up, and I think it looks quite good. Sets the scene. I might try and dim it down a little bit, because it is a little bit bright, but when I add some more signage and people to that scene, I think the station area really will come into its own. For the area in front of the station on street level, I've not really done a lot. I've still got the L-cut creative arches, they're still not quite finished. As you can see, I've added a couple of shop units to those and a station entrance, but I've not really developed this any further. And you might notice as well that the track on this side has not been ballasted yet. The main reason for that is I've still not decided what the top of that wall is going to look like. Whether I'm going to go for almost a concrete kind of capping beam, or whether to bring the masonry brickwork right up to the top. I've also got to factor in how any sort of OLE bracketry might fit onto the side, or whether I cantilever it off from the platform side. So I've not really committed to this area yet, because I've not decided what I'm going to do. Anyone who's got any ideas or even just point me towards a station that looks similar to this, with OLE brackets on the outside of the wall, please let me know. Give me a bit of inspiration then to take this area forward. Overall though, I am happy with the station. I think it's looking how I kind of envisaged it. There's still a lot of work to do yet, still more detail items, and as I have mentioned, I will be adding overhead lines at some point. It's most likely going to be the kind of gantry style, which bridges over the two platforms. Again, what might make that simpler is if I just electrify the central two lines and leave this as a diesel only spur. But yeah, still lots of decisions to be had, and I will cover that in the next update. This area where the castle and the signal box have taken shape, I just started that in the last video, and as you can see, a lot of this has now come to life. I've ballasted the area in front using the sort of usual method, 50-50 ballast, 50-50 glue and water, and a drop of washing up liquid. But what I've also done is, and I think I've done it in a video a long time ago, is the way I've weathered my track. I like to put a wash of dark brown, I think it's possibly burnt umber. I like to wash that into the ballast, and I also do a touch of black down the centre as well, just to tone it all down. The ballast that I use is I've started using fine grey blend. Traditionally I've always gone for the sort of medium, but I've changed my mind with this layout and gone for fine, and I do like the overall appearance with it. I've also painted the rails. Again, it's quite a simple task. It just takes a while, but it does bring that track work to life. And then in between, I've just added the usual sort of bits of cable troughing and the orange cable under track crossing pipes leading to the signal box in the centre. The castle is still not finished actually if you look at it, but it's the Metcalfe, I think it's the gatehouse it's called. Again, I just started doing that when I last did the video, but the scenery behind, I've really enjoyed building this. Again, I've just used polystyrene, layered it up, used different earth blends and static grasses and different paints, and as I say, it's just been really fun to build that. I still want more to it. I think I might add some fence into those edges. I might add some other little bits of detail as well. Obviously need some people. I might also add some lights shining up on the castle. I have seen it with historic structures like this, that they like to light them up from the bottom to make them look a bit more dramatic. so I might have a go at doing that as well. Again, I've just really enjoyed it. It still needs possibly blending into the sides. I might add some more bushes potentially, but overall I'm quite happy. I just need to finish that castle. So the bus garage area itself has not changed at all really. The only change here is I have added another Leyland fleet line to the fleet, and it's this one. That is the last Leyland fleet line in operation in the West Midlands, and it was becoming one that was quite hard to get in the end, so I thought I'd grab one while I could still get one. And again, it's just part of the growing fleet of West Midlands buses. I'm sure this will keep growing. Might get a couple more Tridents in there, and I think Rapido Trains have also announced a Leyland National as well, which sits beautifully alongside the fleet lines. I'm really hoping they'll do some West Midlands versions, which I'm sure they will. But as it goes for the bus garage, not much has changed. I still need to work on this area and figure out how it sits with the railway just behind it. For the area behind the bus garage though, there has been quite a lot of change. I've modified this junction quite a little bit. So previously what I had was the line which feeds the bay platform, that would come in and rejoin the main line here. And then what I also had was, it did spur off, but it only had one line coming from it. And eventually that train, using the shuttle system, would come to an end roughly about here. Now what I have done is I've changed that now. I've added another point into there, and then I've added a short siding where that bubble car is at the moment. I may extend that a little bit. My thinking here was that actually when you look at sort of little terminus platforms, there's sometimes a head shunt for the unit to come out and actually park up in that spot, which will allow another unit to enter the platform, like that 150 at the moment. I also thought it would be a good little stabling point, possibly class 47s or 57s acting as Thunderbird locos, rescuing electric stock on the main line. Again, it just adds a little bit of scenic interest, and for me offers some more storage space as well. The plan for the back, what I've got in mind is some low relief warehouse units. I may actually go for a Royal Mail depot just at the back. I've always fancied the Royal Mail sort of scene somewhere, and I think this seems like the natural spot for it. So what I might do is get some more units like this and have them along the back, and then have a couple of vans like they are there parked up in behind, and yeah, I think that'll look good. Just to the right of that, I've also added a warehouse. This is the Metcalfe kit. I really quite like this kit. It's quite an imposing structure, and you see these all over the place, and again it fits my sort of industrial area. I might try and make it a little more dilapidated, possibly one that's earmarked for new apartments inside, As I say, I think it breaks that scene up quite nicely in that on this back side here, and it looks quite nice with the trains passing in front of it. It also fits the sort of idea that at one point this little siding potentially served that warehouse or the neighbouring warehouses. Again, it's just trying to tell that story. So this side of the layout is probably the most dramatic change of all. The last time I did a video, this was a big sort of fiddle yard, storage space for everything basically. But unfortunately, it was just becoming a bit of a dumping ground, and it was hard to keep track of where stock was. It was all just becoming a bit of a jumble basically, and it just felt like a big loss of space. There were other things I wanted to do with the layout, which I've not incorporated, and seeing some other layouts as well have given me ideas to have a go at doing some different with mine. So I'll just pan across first. What I wanted to do was to have something on a raised section. Again, one thing I realised when I did this was that it all looked very flat on here, and it didn't really give me much opportunity with scenery. Something else I've done is I've added an incline, which you'll just see the Class 150 coming up right now. Now I did feel a bit inspired actually by Everard Junction's branch line, where it takes a sort of sweeping curve down and then eventually crossing under the main line. Mine obviously, unlike his, the branch line is on the outer radius and then eventually comes inside, whereas his is the opposite. But the idea in principle is, I'll just take the camera off the tripod, is that branch line train will eventually come down this incline. Again, I wanted to make it curved. I wanted to avoid a sort of straight ramp kind of look to it. It still needs a bit of refinement, but as you can see, it gives a really nice shot when trains are passing up and down it. I think it was a 3% that I eventually went with, and eventually it comes out here. Now my idea is that in this area here I'm going to have a canal just to the front, potentially with a lock. I've still not made my mind up, but the canal is going to pass under here, it's going to go under there, and then on the other side it's going to somehow come into this space and then go into a tunnel eventually, so that it looks like it disappears. I'm looking forward to creating that. The canals are very prominent in the West Midlands, particularly in the Dudley area, so for me it was a must to incorporate that somehow, and this in my mind was the best way to do it, and it will give some nice scenic effects along the back there, so I'm quite excited to do that. I've just not decided yet if I'm going to put a lock here, and also how I'm going to do it. In terms of that corner, again I went for another Metcalfe kit there. It's the modern shop retail unit, I think it's called. I quite like the look of that. One thing I'm not sure about is that level. That is by no means set in place. That is just resting on something at the moment. I'm thinking what I might do is actually raise that a little bit and have a small retaining wall in front of that incline and that shop unit. I'll also look to extend that gap there in front of the that white lorry right up to the warehouse, and that will actually enable me to move that warehouse a little bit closer as well. But as I say, I quite like that. It was a nice little kit as well. I look forward to detailing that up. It does have lights fitted, and I've also fitted people in there as well. Again, it's just not wired up at the moment. But yeah. So again, this is just a shot further back now of the sort of canal side, I'll call it. As you can see, I really like the idea of having the canal possibly at this level here, so it's not right at the bottom, it's slightly raised, and then that gives me scope again to either bring it further down or have it at that raised level. But I've got plenty of ideas here. Again, because of the way it's now constructed, it gives me options of having potentially the canal coming through here, and then, I don't know, possibly a road or something else coming through. As we come away from this area now, one of the other additions I've had is I've just bought this today actually, a large radius Pico Insulfrog point, and what this is going to lead to is a TMD area just over there. So you can see that just there, all the locos are parked up. I have always fancied the TMD. I think everyone sort of goes for one in the end. It's quite useful just to have somewhere to store your locomotives and still have them on show. At the moment that is just the Hornby plastic kit. I might change that. I do quite like the Bachmann scenecraft sheds that are available. I might go for one of those. But this is just a bit of a mock-up at the moment. By no means is that how it's going to look in the end. If I just pan out a little bit, you can see now where the branch line eventually comes out. At the moment it's become a bit of a junkyard, if anything, but you can see that's where the unit eventually comes out. In my head, what I'm thinking here is that eventually I will neaten this up and have it covered. It's probably going to be just somewhere where I can put DMUs in there and I can exchange them. So I could we could go into a couple of points, have a 121, a 150, a 158, something like that. That might end up being covered by the TMD. All I want it for really is somewhere for the units to disappear, but also somewhere where I can park units like 150s and 158s, which are a pain to put back on the track, not as easy. So if I can leave them permanently on the layout, I'll get a bit more enjoyment from it there. So the last area which has developed from the changes is this little area at the back. Now, these buildings, taken with a pinch of salt, The idea I've got in my head is it's going to be something like a museum area, something like the Black Country Living Museum, which is in Dudley. I quite fancy doing that because, as you can already tell, I've got quite an extensive collection of buses for the West Midlands, both from the 1990s and 2000s, but also some historic ones, which you can see there. So you can see the old Midland Red and Corporation buses there as well. So yeah, so what I was thinking was that building there just at the end, that white one, that is the Metcalfe service station, but I'm going to kit bash that a little bit so that it looks like one of the buildings in the Black Country Museum, and it should make for some nice visual interest. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to blend it in here at this corner just yet. Don't forget that the hillside may actually come up from this track bed at the bottom, but I think overall it'll look quite good, and again it's something I can show off my vehicle collection a bit more as well. Yeah, and just moving on to some new additions as well. I haven't covered those. So my big new addition has definitely been this Virgin Trains Class 90. It is 90004 and it is City of Glasgow in the very attractive Virgin Trains livery. As like my other Bachmann 90, it's a super model. I absolutely love it, and this is the one I've been waiting for such a long time. I was getting a bit impatient waiting for the DCC ready one, so I've elected to go for a sound fitted 90. Actually, when you factor in the special decoder you need for the Bachmann Class 90 for the pantograph, it's not actually too much more to go for sound. So it's a really lovely model, and the sound's really good on it as well, and I'll get some shots of that running. The other new addition to the layout has been this Bachmann Class 47, 47306, and this is the Sapper in Railfreight Distribution livery. I really quite like this loco. It's the older Bachmann tooling, but it's still a really nice model, runs really well, and I bought it as part of a pack from Kernow Model Railway Centre with a cargo wagon as well. As I say, it looks really good, and it comes with a slightly weathered finish as well. So yeah, that's the layout at the moment. I'm quite enjoying it. I think it's all sort of running as it should, and yeah, any feedback, any ideas, I mean particularly around this TMD area, would be very welcome. As I say, I'm not sure. My question to you would be, should I expand it, should I make it a bit wider? Should I have this DMU kind of area covered and it's just a fiddle yard, or could I go with a small branch line station? There's a lot of options here, and I could even go even further and potentially bridge this over to the other side, again all non-scenic, and it go to a big storage yard under the layout. That would be the most work involved, but again that could be quite useful. So yeah, thanks for watching, and any feedback would be most appreciated, and all the best from me. Bye for now.